Well, there's one thing South Carolina has in abundance besides water. It's trees. The Palmetto State's foliage is something to behold and to protect. But as development continues to grow, how do you strike a balance? Let's welcome Ary Fun, president and owner of the Charleston Arborist Company. Glad to have you with us.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Yeah, trees are a delicate subject here. We love our forests in South Carolina. They're unique. So maybe you could let's start there. Let's talk about the ecology and the uniqueness of South Carolina's forests.
Well, you know, the trees around here, they're temperate zone. We have a lot of, the live oaks are very unique to the coastal area. You know, they could go from Virginia all the way through Texas, and there are some variations in California, but it's really, you know, there are some in Columbia, but not as grand as we see here, you know. So with the soil structure that we have, a sandy, loomy soil, we get a lot of unique varieties of evergreens. You know, we have our live oaks and our magnolias and our palmettos. Mm-hmm. Those are our three main, you know. Yeah. And then we have the varieties of others through here, but you know, the red oaks and different things. But yeah. Definitely the evergreen nature of everything through here is amazing.
So would you say that really the health of a tree does begin at the root, that it begins in the soil?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's where it all stems from.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we're starting to see all of that development happening, you know, there's imports as well. So a lot of people, they're planting things that are not necessarily native because it's going to look nice in the grand scheme of their landscaping. But you know, when you're starting to now maintain those trees, what do you tell your clients to make sure that they're creating a healthy environment for those trees to thrive?
Well, we start with the very basics. We try to do this, you know, mulch, you know, using a hardwood mulch around the base of trees and simple stuff like that. Maintaining a good soil structure, mm-hmm. Making sure we have life in the soil is probably the most important part of that base of the root zone.
Sure.
And then the tree maintenance part itself is, depending on age of a tree, we developmental prune, where it's located to a house, are we going to train this away from the house mm-hmm. as we get through, you know, and making sure the limbs don't get overextended. So it all varies upon where the tree is located and all that. But the very simplest stuff, as you know, really try to push for hardwood mulch, and I know everyone around here likes their pine straw.
They do, yeah.
Even if we can put the hardwood mulch under the pine straw,
sure,
and just cosmetically dress it with it.
Yes.
But the pine straw doesn't give any nutrients. At least a mulch will break down and give us some kind of nutrients later.
Now, when someone is selecting trees, say for their own yard, what do you warn against? What are some of the challenges? Because you don't want any kind of invasive species. You don't want something that's going to kind of work against the already natural landscape that, you know, was built upon.
Right. The biggest thing is, you know, consult with an expert.
Yeah.
You know, get either a landscape architect or an arborist to get in there. Location of what you're choosing. I mean, a lot of times I don't really recommend to go to Lowe's to go, even though they have the trees there and they might have the right species, but you know, sometimes do the research on what's in this area mm-hmm. and what will do well.
I have to ask you this because coming from California, there's a certain mindset that in many people's yards, people love to cut down trees. They like to have no trees, no canopy around their house because for maintenance or, you know, structural protection, whatever the case may be. But typically it's about maintenance. But why are trees so very important? Not just to the ground, but also to the air and everything else that.
Oh, there's so many benefits to the trees, property value, and especially in the Lowcountry.
Sure, of course.
We get these live oaks that are gorgeous. So it's almost artistic, like to frame your landscape. You add so much value in the property just by having the trees.
Very dramatic.
Yeah, very nice. Then there's the opposite of where people like, I don't want the tree around my house, but you know, it adds protection. Mm-hmm. You know, a very strong, healthy tree actually it's a guard against around your house.
Coastal properties, for instance. Yeah, you don't want to eviscerate
everything in
the landscape there.
Wind block,
exactly.
You know, and if we keep them as a unit, you know, like, you know, pine trees get a bad rap. But if you actually kept a grove of pine trees, they would work a lot better. You know, so understanding our species and understanding what's here and where they're used for definitely can work to your advantage.
Right, and you can see where problems start to creep up when those trees are removed. You know,
Yes.
you see more flooding, you see landslides. Not so much here, we're pretty flat in the Lowcountry, but when you start getting into higher elevations, it can get quite dangerous.
Yeah.
But you know, as far as the maintenance of trees and just protecting and making sure that your trees are in good stead, you recommend contacting an arborist just to come assess
Yes.
and do kind of a yearly maintenance.
Yeah, that's the
right?
best, especially around here. We haven't had storms in a while.
Sure.
And really, we still see the effects from Hugo.
Oh,
Trees
yeah.
are growing, you know, from canopies that were damaged back then.
That's
so
true.
we haven't had. We've had a couple,
Yeah.
you know, little ones here and there, but we're still having growth off of some old wounds. So it's nice to
Wow.
inspect where those wounds are, how those trees are growing. Kind of prepping for the next year, even though we may or may not have a storm, but
Sure.
you just want to kind of prep for that.
Excellent, wonderful, good advice. Well, for anybody who's interested, want more information from you, where should they go?
CharlestonArborist.com.
Beautiful. Ari,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
We'll be back after this.